Nick Wright. By the way, Tom Brady's going to show up in 26 minutes, so Nick better be good today. Let's bring him on, Nick Wright. First things first. He's our 3-hitter today. He's usually our cleanup guy. He's our 3. For our radio
How's
audience.
it going, Colin?
Nick Wright
Good to see you.
A cigar.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, one last drag. Hey, listen, people often ask me, Nick, do you ever think you'll ever be able to pay back Colin Cowherd for all he's done for you in your career? And up until right now, this moment, my answer would have been no, it's impossible. But now, thankfully, I feel I have done it in at least small order, because it is only thanks to, last Tuesday around 1:05 p.m. Eastern that you and J-Mac had any correct Chiefs Ravens commentary on the show all week. It could have been the wrongest show in the world on that game, if not for the weekly spot with me. I think J-Mac had them losing by 21. You had the Chiefs' best defense in the league, giving up close to 30, losing by 8 or 10, I'm not sure. And then everyone's so shocked, amazed, appalled that the Chiefs' defense did what it did to teams all year. But I'm glad to be here, Colin. I'm glad we now maybe the score is at least closer to even. And thank you for having me on as a nice little lead off to Tom Brady.
Yeah, I've moved them up to 2, Kansas City in my herd hierarchy, right behind.
2. In the herd hierarcy, 2 teams left. He is going to have them 2. Yeah, that's right.
I want to say this, though, and I said this, is that we get too caught up on stats. If I think of Brady, who's on later, some of the most impressive stuff with Tom was later in his career when he had Gronk was past his prime. He didn't have Randy Moss. It was a lot of guys, frankly, that would have been the 4th receiver on most teams. And that's when I'm like, holy man. And he was beaten in those later years like Mahomes. Okay, this guy's insane. So I think with Mahomes, I'm more impressed with him here. They have one receiver I trust. Yeah. In all, does this get him closer to the GOAT thing? Not his most profound year. The year when he has the least offensively and he's in the Super Bowl.
So I think showing that he can win this way is really noteworthy. And so the last time Patrick Mahomes threw an interception in the playoffs was his last bad half, his really only bad half of his postseason career. The second half against Cincinnati in the AFC title game. Since then, he has not taken sacks, 5 sacks in 6 games, 0 interceptions in 6 games, and is 6 for 6 as far as winning those games. And I'd love to hear what Tom thought about Patrick's second half on Sunday. Because again, if people say it's because I'm a homer or I wear rose-colored glasses that I saw it this way, but I think it's just because it's what happened. I think Patrick Mahomes had some open-ish throwing windows in the second half. I think he had some plays he could maybe have made in the second half. But because the entire second half they had a 2-score lead, not a 1-score lead, a 2-score lead, I think his number one objective every play of that second half until the drive where they hit MVS was, don't make the mistake, don't turn the ball over. Get to the finish line.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is something Brady mastered later in his career, which was understand we use game manager and we throw it at quarterbacks who don't have a ton of talent, sometimes fairly. But for the most talented quarterbacks to then be able to pivot into a manage this game mode, I think that is what honestly separates Patrick from a show favorite in Josh Allen. A guy who can understand, you know what? Baltimore can't move the ball. And until we are in a position where it's a 1-score game, I need to just not turn the ball over. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the moment in the second half against Baltimore that it was a 1-score game, that's when once again Patrick put the cape on and hit the pass to MVS. That was there, but it was too risky to take it. And it's why, and I don't know where you stand on this, Colin, this Chiefs team, which has been called the most vulnerable, it might actually just be the most versatile. Because if they can do what they did to Buffalo and then do a total reversal of the game plan against Baltimore, that's going to be a very, very difficult team to beat.
You and I have been on the same page, however, and in fairness, I had said all year is that I did like Baltimore a lot, and I thought this was the most vulnerable Chiefs team, but I wouldn't be shocked if Andy Reid and Mahomes, and I always felt that with Brady. It's like Brady, Belichick, Dante Scarnecchia. I'm not going to be shocked if they get there. And I kind of feel that with Mahomes. They've moved into that territory. But you and I have always been on the same page with Brock Purdy. Is that basically, I mean, there's where you land matters. Even for Mahomes, Andy Reid has helped a lot. Where you land matters. He basically came out of college, got a Mercedes-Benz, and they said, just don't drive it into the neighbor's tree. It's perfect. But I did think, and I said this yesterday, that I haven't given him enough credit for playmaking. He's got a little of it. And I always thought him a little small, rain bothers him, not a big arm. Is it fair to say he's a little better, at least as a playmaker, than you and I thought maybe a month ago?
Well, listen, I was impressed by the scrambling. So and folks can say I've been unfair to Purdy. I don't think I have been. But I will be consistent in that the game he had against Tampa, where he had a literal perfect passer rating, I was not that impressed. With that said, the flip side to that coin is this game, where I thought he was really bad for the first half and into the beginning of the second half, I was actually quite impressed. Yeah. It felt like the moment that pass that bounced off Vildor's helmet, that I got it, that Purdy felt a second life and started making better decisions, using his legs more, and the moment clearly was not too big for him. And the scrambling is the biggest distinction I see right now between Purdy's performance in the playoffs and Jimmy Garoppolo with this Niners team is that highlight reel you just showed, which is Jimmy could never move with the legs. If you got pressure on Jimmy, he was dead. He might close his eyes and throw a pass. It was done. Yeah. Purdy has done some things with his legs that present real problems. Yeah. Now, I also think he has gotten very fortunate on about 4 or 5 really bad passes in these 2 games, and only one of them has really bitten him. So I still think there's a bit of holding your breath if you're the Niners, but he didn't fold down 17, and that scrambling, making some plays with some athleticism was an impressive element on Sunday night. Yeah, 5 of the 8 quarters in the playoffs, he's not been very good. He's been outplayed by Goff and Love, whereas Mahomes has had 12 for 12 great quarters. So we have to contextualize that and be honest. Brock Purdy's had some bad quarters. I will say this, the 3 best tight ends I've ever seen in my life are Kellen Winslow, Gronk, and Travis Kelce. And I always kind of thought that. I think Tony Gonzalez, Shannon Sharp are great. But I thought Kelce's performance was incredible. It really did. And they're not perfect comps. It was very Gronk-like. It was like you're just about, you see him limping all regular season. Were you even surprised how fantastic? That's a top 5 game for him. Were you surprised by Kelce? I was surprised in that Ravens game, yes. Because if there's any team in the league built to be able to stop him, it's a team with 2 outstanding inside backers in Queen and Smith, and the best and longest and most athletic safety in football in Kyle Hamilton. The Ravens roster is better suited to stop Travis than any other roster in the league. And he had, in my opinion, arguably the finest game of his career. And so there's 2 points I want to make about Travis. One is I really believe that having week 18 off helped him for this playoff run. And a lot of guys would have played that week 18 because he was 16 yards away from 1,000. It would have been his 8th straight 1,000-yard season. No other tight end has more than 3. He would have had 8 straight, just needs 16 yards. He set that aside to take the week off, get healthier, and now you're seeing this. And the other element is, I think Gronk is a legend. Obviously, Shannon, Tony, I didn't watch Kellen Winslow, but those guys are all legends. Travis Kelce, when it comes to the postseason, is competing not with those guys anymore. He's competing with Jerry Rice. Travis Kelce he is the all-time postseason leader now in catches, in 100-yard games, in yards per game. The all-time leader. He is second in yards, touchdowns, and multi-touchdown games in the postseason. The person first in all those categories is Jerry Rice. Every single postseason receiving record, it's Rice, Kelce, or Kelce, Rice. That is unfathomable when you consider that Jerry played for 20 years and was on great teams almost every year, that Travis has done this in a decade. So, yeah, I do think, with respect to our colleagues and friends who have done it, that Travis Kelce is the greatest tight end of all time, and I think he's widening the gap.
All right, Tom Brady, bottom of the hour. Finally, Nick, I will say I guessed the spread for the Super Bowl once the game was over, and I said Kansas City minus 2.5. I was told it was San Francisco minus 2.5, and I said the Niners have struggled.
Nobody believes in us.
I know.
No, you know why, though, Colin?
Why?
Colin, now, I shouldn't say you're to blame because, listen, I'm not trying to sound arrogant here, but thanks to people missetting the lines because, you move lines. You have said the Chiefs are flawed, pick Buffalo, pick Baltimore. I've been able to make tens of thousands of dollars betting these two playoff games. Okay. It's really been wonderful because the Chiefs are underdogs. And now you've done it again. You tell the whole world all year that their ceiling's the AFC title game, the offense is broken, it's fine, it's a dynasty transition, and all of a sudden folks are like, you know what? This Niners team that hasn't looked great in 6 weeks. When's the last time the Niners looked amazing start to finish? It's been forever. They should be the favorites. So, listen, the underdog Chiefs, the nobody believed in us Kansas City Chiefs with the best defense in the league, the best quarterback, best tight end, best head coach. We'll just see. They can beat, Brock Purdy, Joe Montana 2.0, Tom Brady 2.0. That's who you should ask Tom about. I know everyone's doing a Mahomes, Tom discussion. The real discussion is Brock Purdy. He's the next Tom Brady. See if he's worried about Purdy getting on his corner. I'm interested to hear that, Colin.
All right, and stop smoking indoors. The alarms will go off at Fox in New York.
Wait, I shut them off. I shut them off before I came on because celebratory cigars. We only do this when the Chiefs make it. We're in the Super Bowl, so we only do it twice a year every year, Colin. See ya.
I've got them cemented at number 3 in next year's opening herd hierarchy, the Kansas City Chiefs. Nick, right?
Unbelievable.
First things first, the show with no budget, and it's crushing, and we love him for it.